the green beer?
I think it's because St. Patrick's Day is later this week.
Oh, is it?
Do you trust? Hey, you don't like distrust
What are those
like
globs of scum?
weirdly colored
What is
liquid?
that?
There's like scum floats.
I'm drinking. Ugh.
Oh,
Some chunky stuff came out of the picture.
Do we have a sieve?
Do we have a strainer?
I'm really hoping you drink it and then you smile and your mouth is just.
No, I'm not.
green.
How much for you to eat a handful of beer scum?
No.
How much you got?
In my wallet, nothing.
No.
Well, that's not enough, is it?
Do you don't mistrust like just weird like things that are naturally a different color?
I broadcast made it, and they know what a weirdo I am about stuff. So I assume that they took my special needs into concern.
What are your special needs?
I like everything washed very thoroughly before I use it. I once got a sore throat, and I accused Patrick of not having washed a glass, but he claims he did.
Yeah, I don't understand why dishwashers have multiple cleaning settings. Like, why don't you just automatically do the like sanitize,
Real
like
clean.
burn this, melt it, and like completely.
Well, I think it's to do with the amount of stuff you put in there.
No.
It could also do with the material of the stuff that you put in there, like plastic versus metals.
Oh, that's a great point. So, do you see there was a
We're talking about what you put in your
Fucking
dishwasher.
great conversation.
there was a
here.
city
You don't
there's a
wash your Tupperware?
city in Canada.
You're too rich to own
There
Tupperware.
is?
There's
Let me
Tupperware in my
finish.
fridge.
It's the first
Well,
half of the
finish
sentence.
it.
So we're just talking about like weird colored
Shitty
stuff
comment.
and like trusting it or being, skeptical. There's a city in Canada where all of the water in the city, like the tap water, just became pink. And people started like getting freaked out about it, and the city was like, no, don't worry about it. Just keep on going. Just trust us. Everything's okay. But it's like, that's the weirdest thing. Like, could you imagine like getting up in the morning?
Oh my
You
God.
take a shower and it's just like nothing but
What
like,
was it?
Huh?
That's like something out of Batman. Like Joker put something in the fucking
This is
city
what it is.
reservoir.
The city planner was like, we're going to raise awareness on cancer by giving cancer.
Yeah.
So we're just going to
What was it?
It looks like someone threw a
pink.
giant bath bomb in the reservoir.
Brandon, you're not
I'm
answering
looking
me.
it up.
what
I
was
have it
it?
here. I'm having it here.
You brought the
All right,
story
yeah, I
up.
know.
So did
All
they-
right,
did they
so
touch the
the
pH
city says
level?
they're
You're looking it up. You're just
assessing
like, you're not
exactly what
acknowledging that I'm
happens.
asking you a
But I was just
question.
waiting for you guys to finish. I didn't want to just interrupt
kept
you.
saying,
it
Brandon,
appears
what
a
is it?
valve may have struck, allowing the potassium. Oh fuck me. Permanganate. Pomegranate. Thank you. To get fuck.
Oh, that explains the color.
No, it's not. I read it. It's not
re-record it.
pomegranate.
Yeah. Permanent. Hold on.
You got it
Let me
right.
look. What is it?
To be able to get into our sump reservoir and thereby into the town's water distribution system.
Potassium what?
Potassium pomegranate.
Potassium pomegranate.
Let me look at it.
Your favorite Sunny D flavor.
Permanent.
Just read it. Just read the syllables.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh my god.
God, you are a train wreck, Brandon.
where is it? Potassium
I'm trying to help.
permanganate.
I'm trying to help. Trying to contribute. What was it?
Permanganate.
Oh,
Oh, of course.
you
Yeah,
just
I
said that.
don't know
Permanganate.
Did you
yeah.
learn when you learned how to read? Little Brandon.
Yeah.
When you learned how to read, did you learn like using phonics or did you learn sight words?
Just sight words.
Oh, that explains why you can't fucking read then.
Yep. Yeah, just be like, part of the minute. I mean, it's just
It's like, yeah, like,
pronunciation just doesn't make. Yep.
I just think that
And I was a horrible speller.
I think learning that way is awful because
It
then
is.
when you encounter words you don't know how to fucking say them.
What's sight words?
It's basically memorization. You start learning lists of words.
Oh, that's
way,
wrong.
Right. So instead of like being able to read something phonetically, you can only say things if you have experience with that word already.
Well, it's why.
It's the way I think most people are taught now.
That's
Really?
bad.
Yeah.
Well, there's
Why not just learn the letters and then learn how to read?
It's like yeah.
there's so many exceptions though. Like there's certain languages where you just have like characters. Like I think in Arabic you'd have like shoo shoo shoo, and that
Shoo,
represents
shoo,
a
shoo.
sound.
What does shoo mean?
Yeah, I don't speak Arabic. I don't speak Persian either. Pass for a little more while.
Jesus.
You could be a really
Locked in.
shit husband. You could buy all the grass from California that you want.
I
nothing wrong with
forgot
that.
about that.
Did you? Have
I
you got
just
any-
feel like she's gonna be counting down till she gets it, and then she's gonna have a laundry list of things that to hold me responsible for. And I'm just like, oh, I'm sorry.
What's the grass in California thing?
he buys grass from California so his dog can piss on it.
Yep.
Fuck is it?
Presented without
That's
context.
the most high maintenance shit I've
But
ever
we already
heard.
talked about that. We already talked about
Yeah.
that to death.
Yeah.
He doesn't know this, but we got to take off the balls.
Ooh.
Important step in every dog's life.
I almost bought a
Yeah,
corgi
it was a
this
whole
weekend.
thing trying to get that figured out with the vet.
What do you mean it's
'cause-
a whole thing?
Alright,
They
well,
do this all the time.
we had him like groomed or whatever, and then the groomer was like, "Hey, he's kind of crazy. You should really get him neutered." And I'm like, "Well, yeah, but I mean, like, I have to wait till stuff comes out." And then like I kind of looked, and
what does
there
that
was
mean?
Stuff comes out.
What does that mean? You have to
Like
wait
his
till
balls.
balls.
You gotta wait for his
He's in
balls out
puberty.
there. And then I looked and I saw his balls, and I was like, oh my god, when did those come? And then so like I called the vet, and I'm like, look, can we schedule it? They're like, well, are they completely out, or is it 1 or 2? And I'm like, I don't know. So
get up in there.
So I went, and Paula had to like grab him, put him upside down, and I used my phone and took a bunch of photos of my dog's balls.
Why?
And then
Why?
I emailed them.
Wait, which?
I emailed them to my vet.
Why
and
does it only have
the
one bollock?
No, that's the thing. You can't tell because they're so small and there's hair. So I emailed my vet, and I'm like, look, I just want to warn you, there are photos of my dog's balls here. So I
didn't
put a
warn
lot
us?
of spaces in the email, and then I attached them, and I'm like, are we at the point where we can
Where was our
schedule it?
warning?
I like that he warned the vet with like a load of
Yeah.
space, but
With us,
to,
it's
like
just drop
thousands
balls.
of people watching, they just got balls in the face.
And
Yeah,
assholes.
and I mean, that wasn't really the worst
Bulldoggy
one. That
asshole.
one was the safe one. I forwarded all of them. And then they were like, well, okay, we looked at him. We're just not sure if one's there or 2. So you can either bring him in for us to test, or you can just feel yourself.
What's
and
it
I was
called
like,
when a bollock-
well, when's your next appointment? I am not going to feel my dog's balls.
Isn't there a name for that when one of the balls doesn't descend properly?
Cryptorchid.
What?
Cryptorchid. That's what it's called.
Yeah, I mean, they
Yeah, I
can
know
still
I'm right.
neuter. Like, because that happened to my dog, my other dog. Like, one of them, the balls didn't drop, but they have to go in and like do like real surgery.
That
and
can
take it
happen to
out.
people.
Yeah.
Where do they start then?
They start at the top of the head, and then they slowly work their way down with gravity until they get to the test.
But aren't they just right there, but small?
They're like up, I think, like in your abdomen, and then they
Really?
they descend. Yeah.
Oh,
Well, for people, they don't drop at the same time. Do you remember like seeing one of your balls drop and not the other?
Honestly, I thought I had my
No.
balls my entire life. I wasn't
Yeah.
aware that they
I think
weren't
that
in it.
happens before you can form memories.
I
No, I think it happens with
before you're-
puberty. Like they're kind of like all snuck up in there, and then at some point they're like, bonk.
I'm pretty
Brandon,
sure I
you're
wasn't
revealing a lot.
walking
No,
around.
No, can
with
we
my-
look this up? Like, I'm pretty sure
we're not going to look up little boys'
human
balls dropping. We're
drop.
not going to look that up. I don't want more images of balls in my mind.
I'm pretty sure I wasn't walking around.
It
with
happens
my...
for most males by 6 months of age.
Yeah.
No, but
like I've
that's
never
like
been
two
walking
different
around with
things.
my
Brandon's
bollocks
revealing
in
a
my
lot
stomach.
about his
Hold
balls right
on,
now.
puberty
Puberty, they just
balls
get bigger though, don't they?
drop. No, I think it's like a
You
literal
get hair
like,
and stuff.
boom,
yeah.
like
Well, the
So
actual testicle doesn't
by
get hair
6
on it.
months of age, only
I'm really
0.8%
hairy,
still have undescended testicle without any intervention. So 99.2% of human males have their testicles descend by 6 months.
there's like another phase of it.
So when people
I'm
talk
pretty
about
sure.
their balls dropping, they're really only 6 months old.
Yeah.
They're not like 13 or 14.
So grow up, you baby.
Can someone on Twitter?
You
know the
have a
names of this?
laptop.
Yeah, but I don't want to spend this time. Like I don't.
You don't
Yeah,
want to
just
spend all the
wanna
time because you know
podcast.
you're wrong.
Doesn't want more incriminating shit on his search history.
Like I've never.
I was still.
Boys' testicles.
at the time where I knew what my scrotum was. It was never empty.
Do you remember your
It's
first
not
erection?
empty. It's just kind of like, all right. Imagine you have.
It's like a
imagine
coin
you fill up
purse
a water
with no
a water
coins
balloon.
in it.
Imagine you fill up a water balloon, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Imagine.
And you're like just kind of like holding it in your palm, and then you let the bottom part fall, and then all of a sudden you have most of it here, and then it kind of then it kind of goes up. Like it's like hanging and dangling in the wind.
What are you on about? What are you talking
Let me look
about?
this up.
I don't know. I'm really puzzled. I don't know.
Balls dropping during puberty.
How old
Yahoo
are you? How old
Answers.
are you when your balls drop? Since that's ultimately what this is about.
It's in puberty.
Sure.
No,
that-
I'm asking you, Brandon.
Did you have floppy
But then
sack when you were?
What that means.
Here's the
I
thing,
didn't.
though.
Let me look this up first to just make sure I'm not.
Here's
a
the thing:
freak.
if they don't drop and then you hit puberty, how will they ever fit through the scrotal
I think
opening?
by then they figured it out. Like by
Okay.
then you've seen a pediatrician or a doctor has worried about this by then.
So doctors have to squeeze
Baby balls.
like, baby testicles to see if there's
Oh.
a nugget.
I don't know. I don't know.
Oh. Let's talk about like robot sex instead of balls. And,
You know what I discovered today?
What's that?
It was not a discovery, but my name, like if Gav spelled backwards is Vag, right? But Neil was playing audio where I said my name, but he scrubbed the audio back, and it was Fag.
Gav.
So it's Vag spelled,
Huh.
but
Is it
Fag said backwards.
because
it's an
the
unfortunate
G sound
name,
is
isn't it?
different. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Because it's like a
always
soft
nice
G
to
instead
know.
of a hard G. It's not Javin.
Yeah.
It's Gavin.
And I'm allowed to say that because that's a cigarette for me.
it's true.
Yeah.
He is clean.
according to
Immune.
English.stackexchange.com, the wrinkly sac just behind the penis, which holds the testes, starts to hang a little bit lower away from the body.
When?
What the fuck? What are we? That's not what we're talking about.
I don't think.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, it like drop. That's what I'm saying though. Is it's a visual difference. At some point,
At puberty?
they become lower. Yeah.
I don't think
Well,
anybody's
yeah, 'cause
wanting
your
you to prove
bollocks,
your
like,
point,
they-
though. I think I don't know.
They become useful. They become
They
like,
activate.
spunk makers.
Yeah, sure. That fine. That's the reason. But they still like drop, and you're like they don't drop at the same time. And then you're like, whoa, why is one of them way bigger than the other? This is not right. Because you don't know anything back then. Because we didn't have, resources like Wikipedia where you just learn everything.
To be fair-
Brandon, everyone's asking you to stop. Everyone on Twitter is just like, Brandon, stop. You don't know what you're talking about.
To be fair, I thought my first erection was a bone misplaced that shot through.
You
the
did
skin.
not.
And
Come
that's what-
on
and
now.
and I logicked it down. It's like, is that why they call it a boner? Like, does a bone like initiate? Like, I
I
didn't
like that
know.
you knew the term boner before you'd ever had an erection.
Yeah, might have had some weird cousins and stuff. So.
Well, when you're, in school in the
They
playground,
use words
you hear,
like boner. And
Oh, okay.
things. Older cousins. What's up?
you hear like words thrown around, when you're younger at school, and you're like, I don't know what that means. Like I remember it being in like elementary or something, really young, and this guy brought like a penthouse, which is like pretty filthy. Photos, and he like showed me something. He's like, "Oh, look, that's a pussy," and I'm like, "Oh, cool." And in my head, I'm like, "What the fuck is this? Oh, what is going on here?" Because you don't.
How old were you?
I don't know. I was in like second grade. How old are you in second grade?
Like 8?
Man, I was like fucked up.
That's pretty young to see
Yeah.
a vagina.
But you don't want to
How do you say
admit
it
it
like
to
that?
people that you don't know what it is.
All right. Yeah, I can understand like people using words, especially when you're young. Like you don't want to like look uncool or be out of place.
Yeah.
So you
Whereas
kinda,
now
like,
you just
play
go on
along.
Wikipedia, you can learn. I mean, everything's explained.
I
Pretty back
remember
then.
getting caught red-handed. Like people are talking about South Park in like 6th grade or 7th grade or something like that. I didn't watch South Park. My parents didn't let me, but I also just didn't have an interest in it. And I did see one episode of South Park, and I quoted that fucking episode like nonstop because I want to be cool. Hey, I watched South Park too. And then someone called me on. They're like, "Have you only seen that one episode?" And I was like, "What? No, I watch South Park all the time." And it was really awkward. Good story.
I mean, you
I'm
could
sorry.
have said like,
I mean, those are the days where people got outraged at South Park. But at some point, culturally, it just became, oh, yeah, that's South Park, to where they can kind of say whatever they want or do whatever they want now. Certain exceptions, like Scientology, some people went crazy about. But it's weird.
They still did it though.
Yeah, they still did it. But it's like so many other people, I mean, on the web or like us, like there's so many things that if we did, it would erupt into like this really big thing. But, it's like one of those things, oh, it's just South Park. Yeah, of course they're
I
going to do
think
that.
it's because
They get burnt out, I guess, about complaining
I
about
think
it.
South Park is, for the most part, very clever and it's very well written, and
What are you
it can
trying to
it can
say,
be
Russ?
viewed as very poignant social satire.
Yeah.
Whereas lots of times, if I think honestly, if I were to try to make some of those jokes, I'm not as good as those guys. So that's why it just doesn't come across.
I agree with that, but I think the people who were leading the campaign against the material in that show didn't really care about that. It was more the fact like our kids can't be, exposed to something like this rather than, well, this isn't a, satire or parody enough.
Well, it's also not a show intended for kids.
Yeah. So I was walking and I realized I was about to pass in front of Gavin's house and I was like, oh, fuck. Like, what if he sees me? And I started getting like all
like
nervous
I'm always
and
looking
stuff.
out the front window.
Yeah, I didn't know. Like, it would just be my luck that you would pull up with Meg or something like that. So I was like, fuck. So, like, I almost texted him and be like, hey, I'm walking by your house, but don't make it weird in case I see you. And I was like, well, I mean, I haven't hung out with Gavin in a while, and I don't know if he's going to think that's funny or if I'm being weird or not. So, like, I just had this, like, horrible thing happen where I
See,
didn't
this
know
is
what
what
to
I'm
do.
talking about. The worst case scenario there is that I see you. So what?
Yeah, what's
I
going
thought
on
we're
in
good
your
friends,
head?
Brad. I almost called you Brad.
Wow, we're good friends, Brant. Blaine?
I got something. Oh, good.
No, I'm just saying, like, what would be the issue if I see you?
I don't know. It's just been weird because I don't know.
It's
you
weird
might-
because you make it weird.
Yeah,
I dodged
if
the
I
street
saw you,
altogether.
I'd
I
be
just
like-
took the long way
If I saw you, I'd probably swing the door open and be like, oh, and then close it again. What's weird about that?
with the dick
That's
out.
actually pretty weird. No, yeah, I'd have my dick out.
That's not as weird as what he did though. Like you took it to a weird place.
But then I would have been like, he saw me. Oh God. Oh jeez. He just thinks I want to hang out or something.
So what?
What the hell's wrong with you?
I don't know.
I had something kind of similar. I like the neighborhood that Gavin lives in, and I was over there and I saw that there was a house for rent near his, like on the same street. And I was like, man, that'd be really cool to see. But then, I mean, Gavin, if I moved in near him, he might just be like, why is that? Or
What's
is
the
it
deal,
going to be
bud?
awkward that we never hang out, even though we're like right next to each other? Or is he gonna be like, are you infringing? I just wasn't comfortable doing it.
Because of that?
Yeah, I thought you'd get weirded out, or you guys would be like,
No.
why is he doing that?
No, who cares? I live actually like 6 doors down from someone who works here.
Really?
What if I moved in next to you? Would be like total bros, right?
You could build
I
like a
would
little
honestly-
walkway connecting your
Blaine,
houses.
I would be fine with it.
Yeah.
Because who cares? I don't see
know.
my neighbors. I would barely see you, probably.
Oh, okay.
Blaine
don't
would
know.
run from his car to the front door.
There's the incentive gone. It's just-
And I could borrow sugar and stuff. Never
yeah.
use sugar, but I might borrow some if you
Oh,
live
that'd be
next door.
cool. Yeah.
Do you have sugar?
Yeah, I do. I might not. It's high in carbs.
I ran into one of my neighbors at the grocery store yesterday. And I thought it was really weird. Like, I feel like I never see my neighbor, and then he literally got in line behind me at the grocery store. So I was like, putting my groceries on the little belt, and I looked like, what are you doing here? He's like, oh, I'm buying this. I'm like, oh. And it was like that really awkward moment you're talking about. I was like, oh, I'm gonna go back to buying my stuff now. So I'm gonna turn and keep making my purchase.
And then you pass them again later on, and it's like still
And
weird.
I got my bag and started running. We gotta get back to the car. Gotta get back before he does, so we don't pull in at the same time.
You just leave all your stuff.